What's going on, my YouTube peoples? Man, it's been a minute, right? Well, a whole lot has changed since the last time I did a video, right? But that's going to be a whole nother video. I'm actually looking for time to get around to making that video. This video is going to be 10 more common interview questions for entry-level IT. Now, I made one of these videos before and it was trash. I mean, let's just keep it real. It was trash, right? But I put the video up. I was new to YouTube. I'm like, okay, I'm doing YouTube video tutorials. I'm putting this up. My system wasn't ready all the way at the time, and I was just trying to, get it on there. So it was terrible though. But a lot of people would message me saying that the video helped them, that they had job interviews, and some of the questions that I covered came up on it. So I'm like, wow, if a video that bad could, help people, then maybe I'll make an actual decent one, right? I'm gonna make another one. And that's what I'm doing here. So we're gonna try to get through that. This is 10 more common interview questions for entry-level IT. I got them wrote down here on my pad, and I'm just gonna try to answer them the way that I would answer them if I was in the interview and I was being asked these questions. I'm a kind of give you the technical definition, and then I'm gonna kind of break it down in layman terms, so to speak. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. All right, so first question on the list is, what is BIOS? So what is BIOS? BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System, right? And BIOS is like the basic program for a computer without the Windows and the GUI and all the bells and whistles, basically. So the BIOS is just the basic framework that you can put on a computer to control some of the attributes of the computer's hardware. So for instance, if you don't have an operating system on the computer, or you can't boot into one, you can boot into the BIOS and change some settings. It just gives you the ability to adjust hardware parameters and behavior without an operating system, right? Next question, question number 2 says, what is DNS? What is DNS? Okay, DNS stands for Domain Naming System, right? And what DNS does is it correlates a name with an IP address. So if you want to go to a particular place on the internet, or you want to connect to a particular device on the internet or on a network, you have to type in the device's IP address when there was no domain name system, DNS. But since we have a domain name system, I can type in the name for that device, so I don't have to type the IP address. So the IP addresses would be a number like 192.168.10.20. So 192.168.10.20. That's the IP address. If I want to connect to Rob's computer, I have to type in 192.168.10.20, right? With the domain name system, I could just say Rob's computer, and it knows the IP address, and so it just takes me right over to Rob's computer. And so, in layman's terms, DNS is like the AKA database for IP addresses. So for instance, somebody named James your homeboy, but all his friends call him J-Rock. Okay, so you don't, when you call James, or when you're looking for James, you don't say, hey, where's James? You say, hey, where's J-Rock? So James is also known as AKA J-Rock. The IP address at my computer at home is 192.168.1.80. It's also known as my computer at home. So when I open up a browser and I type in Google, DNS takes that name, Google, and translates it to the IP address that is associated with the device or the web server that is google.com. And so that's how it happens. All happens in the background. You never see it. It's just the AKA. Got it? Okay, moving on. Question number 3 is, a user complains about the PC running slow. How would you resolve this? And if it was me, this is how I would answer the question. The very first thing I would do, whether it be over the phone, if I'm working help desk and someone calls in, or I'm at the computer, desk side support. So help desk and desk side support are basically the same thing. One you just do by phone, and one you're actually going out over a campus or over inside a building to the physical computer. They're interchangeable. You're going to do help desk stuff when you work desk side support, and you're going to do desk side support stuff when you work help desk. That is just the nature of it. Okay, so back to the answering the question, right? The first thing I would do is have the user restart the PC, or I will restart the PC. And I do this for 2 reasons. One, restarting the PC usually fixes a lot of little bugs or issues that might be going on with the computer. And here's the reason something might be going on. If a user hasn't turned off their computer for a month, and they've just been opening up tabs and tabs and going to sites, all of that information is being cached in the computer's caches, so that when they go back to the site, it displays the information faster for them. Well, when all the caches are full and you still are opening multiple tabs and stuff, that's going to slow down the performance of the computer. So the user might have left it on for months or weeks, and the caches are full, so the computer's acting funny, stuff's freezing, programs don't want to open. So you would restart the computer, and that would solve that problem generally immediately. Any programs that were ghost programs that were running and shouldn't be will be stopped. All processes that were running at the time of the restart will be stopped. And so it'll alleviate any problems. The second reason I do that is to give you a baseline from which to start troubleshooting. So if you got issues like full caches and computers being left on and little glitches, you'd have to chase all of those down before you could get to the actual problem of the computer. So a fresh restart kind of gives you a baseline. Okay, once I restart the computer and it comes back on, now it's not acting normally like a computer. Let's start from there and see what the issue is. So the very next thing I would do, if I turned it back on and the computer was still acting so slow and stuff was freezing and glitchy, is do a hard drive check. So I would run diagnostics on the hard drive to make sure the hard drive is not failing. And if it's not, then I would go about cleaning temporary folders, getting rid of old programs, shutting down startup programs, stuff like that. All right, moving on to the next question. The next question, what is a default gateway? A default gateway is the port that data must go through from one network to get to another network, right? A separate network segment is like another block, right? So you live on 25th Street, and from this corner to this corner, 25th Street, that's your block, that's your network segment. The next street over is 26th Street. Whoever lives on that block, that's their block, that's their network segment. If I want to talk to somebody on 26th Street, I gotta go through a gateway, right? I gotta go through a network gateway. Network gateway is gonna be the side street to get around to 26th Street. So I can't send a message to 26th Street unless I use the network gateway, which is the side street, to go around to get to 26th Street. So you can think of it like this. If my city is divided into, use the 4 directions: north, south, east, and west, right? City divided into 4 sections: north, south, east, and west. I live on the south side, right? I want to go to a neighborhood on the north side. Now, in my neighborhood on the south side, I can talk to everybody. I know everybody. We all friends. No big deal. We don't need no intermediary, right? But the north side is a long ways away, and they got their own rules. So in order for me to go to the north side, I'm going to have to go through a gateway. And the gateway is going to tell me how to get to the north side, and it's going to allow me access to the gateway on the other side, right? So if I want to get to the north side, I'm going to jump in my car. The car is the data packet. I'm inside the car. I'm the data. I want to go to the north side network segment. I'm on the south side network segment. So I'm going to use a tollway, right? You know, the arches that's over the tollways, that's going to be the default gateways, right? So the arch I go under to enter the tollway from my side of town is my default gateway. I got to go through that arch in order to learn how to get to the north side, right? When I go through the default gateway, I'm on the toll road. I'm going to the north side. When I'm ready to go off into the north side, that exit arch for the tollway is their default gateway. That's the north side's default gateway. And so I'm going to exit off the tollway through the default gateway on the north side. Now I'm on the north side. I can communicate with everybody on the north side. I can hang back. When I want to go back to the south side, I got to go back through the north side's default gateway, down the toll road, through my default gateway back into the south side. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? I think that that's a nice analogy for some folks. But moving on to the next question, right? What is the ping command used for? What is the ping command used for? And the ping command is used to check connectivity between two devices on a network, right? So if I wanted to check if Bob is my coworker, Bob works in the stall over next to me. If I wanted to check if Bob computer was on the network, if Bob was, you know, I wanted to holler at Bob, I would ping his computer to see if it was on the network. If Bob's computer replies to me, I know that it's there, right? And so ping is a command that you type into the command prompt, and this is good. I can actually show this. So let's do that. Let's open up a command prompt. So we'll bring that up here. How does that look? So this is my computer right here, Workhorse, and I want to ping Google's computer, right? So I would say ping Google's DNS address. So I say 8.8.8.8, boom. And so then Google replies to me, and I get 4 replies. It tells me how many packets I sent, how many packets were received, how many packets were lost, and approximate round trip times. I know that Google's computer or server is online, right? Recap, ping is a command used in the command prompt to check the connectivity between two devices on a network. All right, and moving on to the next question. Question 6. What online resources do you use to do your job? And this is a good question because it seems like, people who are new to tech or new to the IT field are afraid to say the number one tool that people use in the tech field. So I'm just going to say it for them. Google. I use Google quite a lot. It helps me do my job. It probably helps quite a lot of people do their job. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You can say I use Google, right? And so, I use YouTube. You could say YouTube. I use YouTube to help me do my job. I find information about questions I have, and I can find the answers to those questions on those platforms. The manufacturer's website, right? So any device I'm working on, HP printer, Dell laptop, Lenovo desktop, whatever, I can go to the manufacturer's website, go to support, download all the drivers I need, read up on the particular device I'm working on, read up on the specs of it, the information, contact their support, ask questions, all kinds of stuff. Manufacturer's website is a gold mine. If you say you get a printer, right, and it's just a regular HP printer, you don't know where it came from. The printer doesn't have a driver on this computer. It's a new computer. You need to get the driver. They ain't got the CD, the USB, nothing. How do you get the driver? You go to the manufacturer's website. It's an HP printer, hp.com. Go to support, put in the printer's ID, what kind of printer it is. They'll give you a list of all the drivers the latest drivers for the printer. Boom, you in there like swimwear. You can do that with just about any piece of computer hardware. So yes, and also the learning platforms like Udemy and Pluralsight and LinkedIn Learning, they always got courses and trainings on all kinds of IT subjects and whatnot. So that's always helpful as well. What else? Next question is going to be, tell us, this is question 7. Question is, tell us about a project you recently worked on. And someone who's brand new to the IT field or maybe only worked one small thing won't have much to say here, or they think they don't have much. But if you've ever broken down a PC, built a PC, rebuilt a PC. If you work on your home PCs, your family's PCs, all of those are projects. You could say, one time I had to set up the network for my auntie's new house. They moved in and they wanted to have a router and they wanted to have Wi-Fi, and I set up their whole network and set up their Wi-Fi, if you know how to do all that stuff, obviously. But generally, when you're pursuing a career in IT or you're interested in IT, you're going to do things that, just on your own time that you're curious about. So you can always use that as experience. Any kind of thing you've done to any kind of hardware or operating system, Windows, you learned how to, capture screenshots on Windows. You learned what the Windows shortcuts was. All that is useful experience. So if you haven't had a project that you feel like is worthy of speaking of, you could just say, I haven't been on any projects as of yet. I'm newly getting into the field, but I'm excited for my first opportunity to get in on an IT project. Okay. So then we go to number 8. The question number 8 is, what does the IP config command show you and how can you get more information? And this is another good opportunity to, it's a teachable moment. Okay, so let's do it. CMD. All right, bring that up there. Okay, so what does IP config show you? IP config shows you your computer, the computer that you're working on, the IP information. So if you have a command prompt open, which is this window here, and you type in IP config, this is what you'll have, right? You've got the local IPv6 address, the IPv4 address. This is the 10 dot what address you always hear people refer to. The subnet mask, what size network? This is going to be a /24. It's 255.255.255.0. And the default gateway is 10.0.0.1. Now, this is a internal default gateway that I created because I've got another router behind my ISPs. So, and that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll make a video about it. So, and that's what you get. So it gives you the computer's address information, IP address, default gateway, and the subnet mask. How can you get more information? Well, that same command, if you add something to it, will give you more information. So If you press the up arrow, it'll give you what you already typed, or you can just retype it. So let's just do that. ipconfig space /all will give you all of the DNS information, the gateway information, everything for this PC that we are working on right now. So as you can see, it's got the name, server address, and all of the other information. So what does ipconfig show you? It shows you the IP and default gateway information for your computer. How can you get more information? ipconfig space /all will give you all of the information on the computer. And that was question 8. Let's move on to question 9. Why do you want to work for us? This question comes up a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard it, not just in the IT, anywhere, any job interview, lots of job people, hirees, HRs, whatever the case may be. A lot of people use this question, and it's a valid enough question. Like, why do you want to work for us? And someone who is actively trying to work for a particular company that they applied for, they got the interview, they're going to know the answer to this question, right? Because they've been wanting to. So let's say it was Google. I wanted to work for Google. I'm applying to Google. I applied to Google some time back. I'm hoping for an interview. You know, I'm going to be researching Google. I didn't already research Google because I wanted to work there, right? I know everything about Google, when it started, who's the boss, what job I'm trying to apply for, what I didn't, watched all kinds of YouTube videos on it. I know a lot, so I can easily answer this question. Someone who might be just throwing out resumes, just trying to get their foot in the door, and they, it's going to be whoever, gives me the interview first because I'm trying to get in the door. It may be a little harder to answer this question because, you've been just putting out feelers. You didn't even know who was going to respond. But once you get the response, obviously, it's a good idea to do some research on the company that you're about to go interview for. Really, it's no excuse for you to show up to an interview and not know a little bit of something about the place that you're trying to be employed at. And so you can go into the interview when they ask that question. You can tell them, well, I like the culture. I like the atmosphere. I recently switched to a new career field, and this seemed like a fun company to work for, or this job posting seemed like a good opportunity to get my foot in the door. And after doing some research on the company, I found out that such and such and blase, and I think that's real good. And so I made the decision once I saw the interview request to, interview for the position, right? All right, so that was question number 9. Question number 10 is, how I wrote these questions down. I forgot all about this. How do you boot a Windows 10 PC in safe mode? How do you boot a Windows 10 PC into safe mode, right? This is a pretty good question right here. This is one of, this is not a common question, but it could come up. And I thought it'd be interesting. So I'm going to show you how to do that, right? So first I'm going to tell you. So if you want to boot a computer up in safe mode, you would go to the boot options and set the computer to start in safe mode and then restart the computer, right? And I'm about to show you how that does. So if you hit the Windows key and press R, you'll get this little run window right here. See that? Run. And if you type in that run window, msconfig, and press OK, you'll get this system configuration. So msconfig stands for Microsoft System Configuration. And this is the system configuration window right here. And if you go to the boot tab, right? Boot tab, and you, under boot options, you can see right here, it says safe boot. If you click that option, press apply, press OK. When you restart the computer, it will boot up in safe mode. Now, This is a mixed bag, but when you restart the computer, it'll start in safe mode every time. So when you don't want the computer to start back up in safe mode, you have to go back to the run, hit the Windows key and R to bring up the run window, type in msconfig, come back here, uncheck safe boot. I've seen it not automatically come back in safe mode, and I've seen it do it both ways. So just in case, come back and turn it off, right? So we're gonna uncheck this box and whatever the case may be and cancel. And that is how you boot a computer in safe mode. And basically what safe mode is it starts the computer up with minimal resources. It doesn't start up all the extra bells and whistles and services, just minimum. And you usually use that so you can troubleshoot issues or virus remediation tasks. And that is going to be the last question on the list, right? We went through all 10 of them. And man, this, I enjoyed doing this again, right? I haven't done one of these videos since the last one I did, kind of a check-in video, like at the beginning of the pandemic in May of 2020. And here it is, October of 21, and a whole lot has went down with your boy, especially career-wise. I will be making a video talking about it. Just wanted to get this 10 more IT questions out, and I might just go ahead and redo that first one because it's terrible. I still got it up, so go check it out. I might try to link it to this video. Go check it out. But the information on there is good. If you can turn your volume all the way up and listen, it's got some good information, but the quality of it's trash. Go ahead and hit it and give it a like for your boy. Like this video, subscribe, and until the next one, peace. Appreciate you.